Today's date is the 27th of May, 2026. The time now is 5:53 p.m. I'm exploring zero point energy, zero point energy. So, 0 point energy. I'm gonna be explicitly modeling, attempting to model 0 point systems, what I call 0 point systems. I'll be focusing on 0 point field and 0 point systems. What do I mean by this? So, the what I mean by this is that 0 point definition is a system, 0 point system, 0 point 0 point field is a field where there's the field, a plane, a field or field that has 0 point has 0 point properties. 0 point properties. In modern research, do you have 0 point information field, for example? 0 point information field represents all the events that happened that we can access and know based on a theory of consciousness. 0 point information field is the point of between the material world and the non-material world. What information means from the material world and the non-material world. It's good to define the material as something that is physical, can be held, can be measured through the means of scientific methods and realms. 0 point systems are the absolute values of the 0 point world, of the real world. They share all the material nature and the non-material properties, and that's why they are called 0 point systems, because the point operates on 0 point, the point of 0 point, the point of no 0 point, the point when there is nothing, absolute nothing, absolute nothing, and you can access everything. What do I mean by this? A 0 point energy, a 0 point, a 0 point, contact. When we contact ourselves, when my arms scientifically, my palms are facing me, and I'm looking at my palms right now, staring at my palm. But there's I can see in classical mechanics, I'm touching these systems, but in quantum mechanics, there's a field. Both my hands palms to touch them, or I'm holding the surfaces are in contact. My hands are in contact, and by being in contact, they are in classical mechanics, classical systems, in classical mechanics, what I call classical my hands are touching, and these my hands are in contact because they have zero. There's friction, there's probably that friction, and they are separable, But at the smaller scale, at the absolute quantum mechanics scale, they are not touching. There's an energy field called the 0 point energy field that keeps them in contact. 0 point energy field is a keeps there's space. And a wave, every particle is surrounded by energy, and there's no reason to there's an energy wave there. So that's what defines what's zero. So this zero is what keeping it in a state of iota state. This 0 point energy. So what is it? If you can handle 0 point energy, the 0 point energy will be something that is already there, but those just needs to be used to keep in contact, or if you can control 0 point energy. My goals are to explore what is 0 point energy first before I think about a question of 0 energy. But as my hands are pressed against each other, they're in contact, yes, but they're not in contact. Sorry, they're not in contact. Just the energy is the energy in between my hands are in contact. So they are in contact in a way, they're not in contact in quantum, but with the energy, there's an energy that's keeping them in contact. I'm not the my hypothesis why the 0 point energy exists here is that 0 point information, 0 point energy is that when in contact, they interact with each other, and they annihilate each other. That's my analogy. That's my idea. So I believe that the particles or protons that at the quantum mechanics scales, if you take a proton, if it's a proton, another proton, they have the positive charge. electrons and electric charge, and you got a positive and negative charge, ions. And when they come in contact, they have without the electrical 0 point field, 0 point energy field. The 0 point energy field is the same as the quantum mechanics energy field. Quantum mechanics, rules of quantum mechanics is defined by Newton's laws of motion and Einstein's theory of relativity, Einstein's theory of relativity, which governs general theory, the modern the new one. What's the new one? The general theory of relativity, and no, not down anything in contact that has to have two complete two systems that keep idle, and that's what 0 point energy is. Everything has energy because of 0 point energy. I'm saying 0 point energy is the iota state of the universe, because energy cannot be destroyed. So if the 0 point energy is a field of matter that surrounds the field of energy that surrounds the all matter, and that field of energy is essential for the stability of the protons, because they can decay quickly if they are not in that. If the zero point energy is not, if they don't have, if they have don't have that energy field around them, because our universe is stable, but it's stable because of the energy, because energy can be destroyed, and created or destroyed. 0 point energy events that stability of or that can be measured when we observe particles at the quantum level, at small scale stuff. I'm presuming that 0 point energy is a way to 0 point energy, all those film all those things for gravity, for example, floating devices, things that float because of gravity. 0 point energy is essential for it to 0 point energy for anti-gravity devices. 0 point energy or 0 point systems which can use which can because all matter all to have configuration, and the basically hypothesis my other hypothesis is that all matter has configuration, and the configuration between for all matter has a shared energy, has an energy. So for example, aluminum, an alloy made up of hydrogen and an alloy between aluminum and zinc. Uh, uh, is an am I saying it wrong? Am I saying it's wrong? I may be incorrect here, but if you have two different metals, two different wait, two two different wait, 1 second, 1 second. This is just coming. Yes. So if we have two different metals, and the metals are share if you, because our universe is at its quantum scales, our universe is made up of small things called protons, electrons, neutrons, and their smaller substrates, which are called uh, 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 on a Higgs field, give the gravity their mass, give signal mass. But there's their mass, but there's an energy that's associated with that mass, which will what happens, which will encounter as force. So force will be what we're measuring at the quantum scale to define what the mass of an object is. So in a classical sense, there's a force, but that force is a vector, that's a property of the system that was derived from the quantum scale. So that's my hypothesis. I'm trying to explore how zero point systems, things that have a net zero force, of a net zero force on a Higgs field, can be used to explore, can used to be control, things like control or guide or dictate in a system how gravity behaves. If you have a zero point, if there's more zero point, if there's a instability if there's an improportionality, not instability, improportionality in zero point fields. Improportionality represents how the field, how a zero point system it competes with quantum quarks and gluons and bosons and govern themselves uh, by zero point energy. So zero point energy again is energy at net force net of zero. Zero point energy is energy at net zero. That dictates how contact is observed on particles on atoms. I also want to explore how an antimatter zero how an antimatter when an antimatter matter comes to the annihilate. Why do they annihilate? Because they're opposite. The opposite just means they should attract systems. But they come in contact. So, but I come in contact is because they have to come into contact. So I'm saying that antimatter matter, basically the zero point energy for an anti-proton, anti-neutron, anti-electron is the same. It's made up of matter. What's causing the annihilation? Not even the anti-proton. Because is a vacuum. No, it is the vacuum. No, I'm saying no. Hypothetically, I'm claiming that there is a way to determine what the shape, because antimatter and antimatter sits in is in a system of belongs to has a matter will have a matter because it's opposite. It should have a matter bound zero point field, and that matter bound 0.5 may explain why there's more matter than antimatter in the universe. So this is basically zero point energy, and that's another theory I'm proposing. So why there's more matter and matter field in the universe? Because there's zero point field that has a zero point what about zero point system and zero point system. So you're gonna have a matter zero point system, and you're gonna have other things such as conjugatory systems, critical conjugatory systems that govern themselves based on see, based on the quantum mechanics and quantum physics, because they are not just systems of systems of ambiguity. There's a structure to it, and a system of zero point systems have to account for the realities. So zero point energy. Uh, uh, why doesn't and questions like why doesn't the why are atoms stable? Why is the atomic force stable? Because those are questions that need some form of energy reposition, and they need because of zero point energy and zero point systems, they have to have zero point they have to be zero point in nature. Meaning they are dimensionless. They're net zero. They represent nothing of the real world. Nothing of real world we can measure. Whilst the system behaves does the behavior observe or take a note record of via the framework of quantum physics. That's what I have to say today. Thank you for watching the video.